what is that going to do for the economy, the commoditization of knowledge?
Oh, that's a really good question. I will give you something of how I've been doing things in a completely non-hypothetical way, right?
Cool.
I'll tell you what I'm doing, and let's see if the world, does the exact same thing in a little bit. So the way that I always think about it is, what would an educated user do? What would an educated customer do? And something that I noticed is that people are paying a lot of money for service right now. For example, marketing and branding, right? In the past, we've hired people, through multiple companies that I worked with. They have people who would do marketing and branding for what, 5, 10K, something like that, right? With GPT, I was able to get it done in a day. And then now, is it good quality or not, right? Because I prompted it really well. Basically, I said, hey, interview me, ask me all the questions as if you're a marketing and branding specialist. So that now it has all my data, right? It has my mission, it has my values, it has what I want to be, what I don't want to be, what are my main value propositions, all these things. So then it came up with a really, really good brand book, to a point where I showed it to a marketing specialist just to say, this is what I have. I just need 30 minutes of your time to give me feedback. And then they were able to look at it and go, wow, this is really good. Who did it for you? And I said, I did it with GPT in one afternoon. And they were surprised, right? Because if you prompt it really well, you can pretty much substitute a lot of service, to a point where I want to do this for my own service as well, right? I want to enable people to do that. So then when they come to me, I'm not doing the service for them. I'm just saying, okay, let's spend 30 minutes. Let's sit down. I'm just going to review everything to make sure that it is in the, in proper order.
Yeah.
And then off you go, right? So that's what I think it's going to do to service. Now, we talked about earlier the construction worker. So let's differentiate that maybe by saying, okay, well, service is a more white collar service, and then labor would be like blue collar service.
Yeah.
So blue collar service, you can replace that, whatever. But white collar service, there's a lot of things that you can do to reduce your need on what you need what you need from people, right? Another example, I would draft my own contract. And then this is where people go wrong. Like people either trust it way too much or they don't trust it at all, but draft your own contract and then send it to a lawyer and say, I just need 1 hour of your time. Tell me what I'm missing. And that is going to cut your service significantly. So what you've seen in the software space is that people have gone from a SaaS model to more of an agent model. So SaaS would be, you'll have a car and you need to drive it, right? That would be SaaS. So just a typical software, you need to drive the car, you need to have understanding of how
to use it every day.
Yeah, you have to do it. Like you have to put in the work. Whereas agent model is like a self-driving car, where you just say, okay, well, I want to create an entire month of social media content, and it does it for you. So that's where technology is going now, is that it's replacing a lot of the service functions, because now it's doing it for you instead of you having to drive the software.
Right. So, and that what that does is that allows for those in the white collar space, in the service versus labor doing services, to really hone in on what they all either care about or are really, really, really good at.
Yeah.
Because 80% of it is done when you arrive, and then it's the expert, service layer going through and making sure that it was done properly. So it almost sounds like it should increase the quality of services and increase the availability of services.
Yes, right. So it's going to consolidate again. You have the top service providers. I think they're going to do really well, because they can now automate and say, well, we have let's say you go to McKinsey, right? You go to McKinsey and then they say, well, they have their own internal McKinsey AI, right? So it allows them to put together PowerPoints really quickly. It allows the consultants to be efficient. But at the same time, there's nobody who's going to build an AI that replaces McKinsey, right?
Mhm.
So now you have the second layer, which is you have your startup that is doing really well, built by extremely smart people who have a lot of deep domain expertise. They're going to be able to generate a better product than the average, mom and pop consultant who's very, who don't have their processes together, who didn't have deep domain, or maybe they're very specialized or they're not really put together. Yeah. Like those kinds of people, yeah, they probably should be a little bit worried, because if you're a service provider and you're not better than the latest startup out there, you're at risk,